Okay, hi guys. So now we are going to go over your activities that you had yesterday for NTI day 18. So I'm going to start with math bait. So I'm going to be turning the camera around to the whiteboard and we're going to go over math bait and talk about your fractions. We're going to talk about what we know about the fractions. We're going to compare and contrast the fractions, and then we are going to talk about greater than and less than. That's what was on your paper in your activity. So I am going to flip this around so you guys can see the whiteboard. Okay, good. All right, so these were your two fractions that you had. You had this cylinder, which is a 3D shape that was broken up into 4 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't get confused with this. This is the top of your shape. So this is your shape here, and these are your lines. So if I'm looking at that, it's broken up into 4 pieces. So 4 is my denominator, and then 3 pieces are shaded. So 3/4 should have been that fraction. This fraction over here was just a square, and it also was broken up into 4 pieces, but we only had 1 piece shaded. So our denominator would have been 4, but then our numerator would have been 1. So what do we know about these fractions and these shapes? So 3 things that I can tell you about this one is that there are 3 pieces shaded. Okay. 1 piece not shaded. Okay. And this one is a cylinder. So I can tell you that. Now, I would love for you guys to tell me lots about shapes this week because that's what we're talking about. Okay, so over here on this one, this was just our 2D shape. So in this one, we had 1 piece shaded. Okay, and then 3 pieces not shaded. And then this one is just a flat 2D square. Or you could have called it a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, 4 corners. So that is a quadrilateral. Okay, so I'm going to erase this, and now we're going to talk about how these pieces are the same and how they are different using a Venn diagram. You guys have that square, but I'm going to do a Venn diagram because we haven't been able to do that one in a while. So a Venn diagram is a perfect way to tell how something's the same and how it's different. So over here, this is going to be our 3/4. This is going to be our 1/4. So one thing that was in our 3/4 was that was a 3D shape. Okay, that was the only thing that went with that fraction. This one was a 2D. So that's how they are different. One way that they are the same, both of them had a denominator of 4. They were both broken up into 4 equal pieces, right? Okay. Another way that this is different from that one, this is the bigger number, right? This one's the smaller number. And we'll talk about that in just a minute when we compare the fractions. This one has a numerator of 3. This one has a numerator of 1. It's another way that they're different. Both of these were shapes. Sometimes we have just the number version. Sometimes we have the word version. Sometimes we have pictures. These were both shapes, so that's how they're the same. And these were both broken up into quarters. We could say that too, because remember, when something's broken up into 4 pieces, it's broken up into quarters. Okay, the last thing that you were supposed to do on your math bait was to compare your fractions. So if I were going to compare those 2 fractions right there to try to find which one was bigger, which one was smaller, I love, using my chocolate bar. Both of them were broken up into 4 pieces. Okay, but this one I would have eaten 3 of the pieces. This one, the second fraction, I would have only eaten 1 of the pieces. So therefore, 3/4 is more than 1/4. Remember, when your denominator is the same, you're going to look to your numerator and you're going to go with the bigger number. That's not always the case when your denominator is different, right? Let's say instead of 1/4, let's say I had 1/3. Okay, now let's see if this is still true. So I'm not going to change the size of my chocolate bar. Remember, I'm going to change how many cuts my chocolate bar has. So now, instead of having 4 cuts, I'm going to do 3 cuts. So I only need 2 pieces. And then one of those pieces would be shaded. So this is still true. It helps so much when you draw your pictures. So much. Okay, so, but what if I change this to a 2? Let's see if that's true now. So instead of 3 cuts, I just need 1 cut, and look, it is still true. This would have to be, if I change the top, now I can switch and show that this is bigger. And I did want to we'll go over one more thing with you guys, and then we'll stop the math bait video. Remember, when you have your numerator is bigger than your denominator, because somebody put this, I don't know if this was the exact number, but it was like, let's just do, they said 6 out of 2 is less than 1/2. Or I think they might have said 1/4 here. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So 6 out of 2 means that I'm going to have more than 1 candy bar, because 2 is my denominator, so it's broken up into 2. Well, that's 2 out of 2. This would be 3 out of 2, 4 out of 2, 5 out of 2, 6 out of 2. And then this would just be 1 candy bar that's broken up into 4 pieces, and I ate 1 of the pieces. Here I would have eaten 3 whole candy bars. So that is not true. Remember, when your numerator is bigger than your denominator, that means you have more than 1 piece. Okay, so now we're going to talk about that password, okay? So in each video, I'm going to give you a word that goes with an idiom, a phrase. So the word that goes at the end of this video, and that's going to go with the next video, you have to find out more of the phrase. The secret password for this video is I'm, like I am, I'm. You'll have to watch the next video to find the next part of the idiom that goes together. All right.